2. Okay. The question says Morgan invests 5,000 right into an account which pays a lump sum at the end of 5 years. If he gets 7,500 at the end of the period, what compound interest rate is the bank offering? Right. So the first thing is to list the information that you have provided. Let's start with our P first. Our P is 5,000 rand, and then our accumulated amount is 7,500. Then N is 5 years, right? Now in this case, our interest rate, remember, it's given as a percentage. Now in this case here, the interest as a decimal is unknown. So we have to calculate I first. Then we use I to calculate R. Okay? So the formula that we have to use is the compound interest formula A equal to P times 1 plus I raised to the power of N. Okay, now the main reason why we have to use this formula is because of that part, compound interest. That's why we have to use that formula. So if you see the word compounding in the question, it means use this formula. Later on, I'm going to talk about other cases that are not financial where you might need to use that formula. Okay, so that's your formula there. Remember, it's an exponential equation. Okay, this n here, that n there, it's an exponent. Okay, so we want to calculate the I. Our A is 5,000. Our P is 7,000. Sorry, the other way around. A is 7,500. P is 5,000. Okay, N is 5. Okay, so the first thing there is to use your knowledge of solving equations, which you did in term 1. So we divide both sides by 5,000. If we do that, we get 7,500. So 7,500 divided by 5,000 is equal to 5,000 over 5,000 times 1 plus I raised to the power of 5. Okay, and obviously here, those two cancel, the zeros go away, we left 75 over 50, which is the same as 15 over 10. Okay, so from this step here, we get 15 over 10 is equal to 1 plus I raised to the power of 5. Okay, by the way, I just want to remind you that at this stage, you have to know how to solve equations, which is what you did in term 1. Okay, and you'll never be taught how to solve equations again. Right? It's gone now. And so let's move on to the next page. So next page, I'll have 15 over 10 is equal to 1 plus I raised to the power of 5. Remember, the objective is to solve for I first before we calculate the interest rate. The interest rate is quoted as a percentage, but that I there, it will be a decimal. So we have to multiply the value of I by 100. But before I get on, I need to make the exponent on the right equal to 1. So for me to do that, I have to multiply that exponent by its reciprocal. Remember, you did reciprocals, I think, in grade 8 to 9. The reciprocal of 5 is 1 over 5. The reciprocal of 1 over 5 is a 5. The reciprocal of 2 it's a half. Of 3 it's a third, and vice versa. Okay? So we need to make that exponent equal to 1. Now, if I do that on the right-hand side, I also have to do it on the left-hand side. So this becomes 1 over 5. The exponent on the left-hand side becomes 1 times 1 over 5, which gives you 1 over 5. Right? So once we do that, we can end up having the fifth root. Okay, let me show here. So this becomes the fifth root of 15 over 10 is equal to 1 plus I. Right? Now remember, your answer for I has to be a decimal. It has to be between 0 and 1. It cannot be more than 1, and it cannot be less than 0. It's financial math, no negative answers. Okay? So from here now, I can take the 1 to the left. If I do that, I can write I is equal to the 5th root of 15 over 10, all minus 1. Then you put this in your calculator. What do you do? Don't round it off as yet. What was the 5th root of 15 over 10 minus 1? Take note that this 1 here is outside the square root. It's not inside. If you put it inside by mistake, you get an incorrect answer. It's outside. What answer is it? 0.08. Right. This is not the interest rate, but it is the interest as a decimal. Okay? To get the interest rate, then we say therefore R, that's the interest rate. The interest rate is denoted by the small letter r. It's going to be equal to 0.08 times 100%. And this gives you 8%. Okay? Remember, yesterday I told you this. From yesterday, remember, your I is equal to R, which is the percentage of, let me not put the percentage sign. I just say R over 100. Remember this. Okay? That's very important. That's the equation which gives you the relationship between I and R. Okay? It can also be written as R is equal to, let me use different color. So it means that R is equal to 100R. Okay? So make sure you are aware of it. Right? So this is your final answer. Any question? Okay, if you don't have a question, then you do this question in the process. We do number 3. All right. So let's do number 3. Doing that one. Okay, so the question says Nicola wants to invest some money, okay, don't know whatever amount, that's the one you will need to calculate, at compound interest. Okay? At a compound interest rate of 11% per annum, how much money should she invest if she wants to reach a sum of 100,000 in 5 years? So here the P is not given. You have to calculate it. So first we list whatever we have given. So P is unknown. A is 100,000 rand, and N is 5 years. Right? Your I is equal to 11 over 100, which is 0.11. Okay. Now, so the first thing we have to write our formula first. So A equal to P times 1 plus I raised to the power of N. P is unknown. A is 100,000. And N is 5. So this gives us 100,000 equal to P times 1,11 raised to the power of 5. Okay? And I'm sure there you can see that the P is multiplying the 1,11 raised to the power of 5. Therefore, we can divide both sides by 1,11 raised to the power of 5. Okay? And divide both sides by 1,11 raised to the power of 5. Okay, let's put that in brackets. Okay? So these two cancel there. So our P is going to be equal to 100,000 divided by 1,11 raised to the power of 5. What answer do you get? What? 39,305. Any sense? 13. Okay. Remember, the P must be less than the A. Here. The P must be less than the A. All right. Any question?